אוקיי, בעזרת השם. בפרק י"ד פסוק י"א. בית רשעים יישמד, ואוהל ישרים יפריח. The house of the רשעים will be destroyed, demolished. ואוהל ישרים יפריח. And the tent of the righteous, of the straight, of the honest people, yes, יפריח, blossom, will get big. Will multiply or flourish. Says the Gaon, a man is busy all week long working, essentially working on the fields, working in the office. And his working space becomes like a tent, like a secondary environment where he lives, but at the level of a tent. It's not like a home. It's not something that's permanent. It's something that's enough for him to be in his own environment and separated from the rest of the world, but not too comfortable for it to make him feel like it's a home, it's a level of security and protection. It's ohel. Beyom Shabbat, he comes back home, and on Shabbat he is in his home. So the week represents the ohel, and the Shabbat represents the home. The work represents the ohel, and the home represents the home. The family represents the home. The difference there is between the environment of the work of the field versus the home is that in the field it's open, right? So you're in a field, an open field. So you're exposed to what? To wild animals, to bandits, to people that wander, to robbers. You're exposed to the jungle. Versus your home, which is structured with walls, with community, with doors. Yes, it's protected. It says the Gaon. Yes. Now, says the Gaon that your home must be protected and insulated from all the hayot raot, from all the bad of the street. And your ohel and your work, yes, since by definition, our work is in interaction with the street, yes, it's being exposed to the world, yes, you cannot do more than just what is called the ohel. So how do you get the protection of the ohel? Like the pasuk says, "Ve'adata ki shalom aholecha." When do you know that your ohel, that your work environment is shalom, is shalem, has peace in it and is complete and protected from the outside environment? ופקדת נעבך ולא תחטא. That's the pasuk in וידעת כי שלום אהליך, ופקדת נעבך ולא תחטא. It's the pasuk in Iyov. It's when you have the Shabbat, when you're home, when your Shabbat is your home, yes, versus the days of the week. When the Shabbat resides in a home that is protected by the streets and has a real definition of a home. So now the beracha of the home, which is the makom, with the beracha of the Shabbat, which is the zman, now protects your aholecha. So essentially, if you want to be protected at work from from malicious people, from hayot ra'ot, from bad influence, from bad encounters. Lo alenu, people, it's when they go to work that their mind, get messed up. That's when they meet wrong people, and that's why they can destroy their family. It's at work. All this Yetzer Hara is at home. Usually, it's not at home. So says the Gaon, when you have a makom that is called a home, which and the definition of a home is that makom is completely encapsulated from the negativity of the street. Meaning you make sure that your home is protected from intrusion of the street. In today's standards, you make sure that your home doesn't have TV, doesn't have access to the internet that is open, that doesn't have access to all this shtuyot, yes. And now your makom is a home. Now, that's number one. Now you can allow the beracha in the zman, which is your Shabbat. If your Shabbat also is your home, meaning all week, yes, you prepare for the Shabbat. Ayom yom ehad le Shabbat. Ayom yom sheni le Shabbat. Ayom yom shlishi le Shabbat. Yes. So the ikar is the Shabbat, and the week is the ohel, is the tent. Now you're mekadesh this time, the zman. So suddenly you're sanctifying the space, and you're sanctifying the time, the zman. Yes, work is about being at the right place at the right time. Yes, that's what the bracha at work is. So if you have the bracha of the makom and you have the bracha of the zman, then v'yadata ki shalom ha'olecha. Then your work environment will be protected. Even though outside of your tent, yes, it's a jungle and full of issues. And not only that, okay, velo teheta, not only that you're protected inside your ohel, but yet you will not sin, meaning you will not make mistakes to sin. The beracha that you have will protect you from making a mistake that can lead you to a sin. And you velo teheta, says the Gan also, het milashon chisaron. Het can mean also a void. You will have no void. You will be filled with everything that you need. Beyond that, another level of beracha, not only everything you need you will find, but everything you own will be protected. And that's what is found is in your home, right? So everything you've worked for, everything you've built, yes, as a home is also protected. Now, that's the Ohel Yesharim Yafriach. Yes, that's why the Ohel, the tent of the Yesharim, yes, of the righteous, flourishes, blossoms. However, Beit Reshaim Yishamed, the house, which is the house, yes, now we understand what the house means, of the Reshaim will perish. Says the Gaon. Not only that their Ohel will never last, but even their home, which is what they believe is secured and acquired, yes, and established, is going to end up by perishing. Because their home do not have the beracha of the makom and do not have the beracha of the zman. So maybe they do have big houses and maybe they do have big, but at the end, all this is going to disappear. Versus a tzaddik that even his ohel is protecting and flourishing. And says this is what we said in the beginning, but that the tzaddikim, this world, yes, העולם הזה זה ארעי. It's a passage. Yes, it's temporary. So this world is called ohel, versus the Rasha, that his world is called a bayit. So says the Shlomo Melech, Bet Reshaim, the world of the home of the Reshaim, which really means the life of the Rasha in this world, is shamed. If the person lives like a Rasha, all this life goes to waste, disappear. But the ohel of the Yisharim, but the life of the tzaddikim, which live this world like a ohel, yafriach, will flourish. How does it flourish? It brings beracha in olam haba, and it also brings beracha to the children. Now the children have the beracha of that of all that effort and that sacrifice. So we see the multi-level, yes, impact the derech chaim, the way of life has when you put the right priority and the right attention to the kedusha, to the sanctification of time and of space. Number one. And number two, when you put the right priority and perspective of a home versus the work. And what's very important, and I repeated it many, many times, is, and that's where people fail, is in the transition from one environment to the other, from one time to the other. Yes, I've told you many times the story with my grandfather that I asked him before he used to go home. He used to stay in the car a few minutes and listen to this Andalusic music. Yes, and even though, Baruch Hashem, my grandmother was a handful, she was an amazing woman and very opinionated. Yeah, he was. He always had shalom bayit. He never had issues. When I asked him, he said that he was made with a flat face. He had three fazot, three phase. He has a switch here. Yeah, he's a father. He's a husband and father. He's a Oved Hashem and he's a businessman. And to each their own. He puts the switch on and off whenever he needs. When he's at work, he puts the switch to work, and he doesn't think about Gemara, and he doesn't think about the wife. When he's learning, he doesn't think about the wife. He doesn't think about the work. Nothing. But when he's at home, he only thinks about his wife and his kids. It doesn't matter work, and it doesn't matter limud. To each, he's compartmentalized like this, and that's how he lived his life. Yes, here the transition, this between a makom to another is extremely important because we carry or the struggle of home at work, of the pressure of work at home. Same thing when it comes to Shabbat Kodesh. Yes, we don't realize, but we drag all the ohel, right, all the work into Shabbat because we're not preparing ourselves properly before Shabbat. That transition is not happening correctly. Yes, so suddenly our mind is all preoccupied by work or by issues of the week. So we cannot be sanctifying the Shabbat the right way, and that makes us speak about divrei chol on Shabbat. We speak about things that we're not supposed to on Shabbat. We think about things that we're not supposed to on Shabbat. Yeah, or sometimes also the way you dress. If you dress on Shabbat like you dress during the week, yes, then you're infusing your Shabbat with the week. That's what we have to have begadim of Shabbat. Yes, you can wear a suit all week, but have a suit that's for Shabbat. Yes, you have or shoes is a machloket, but make sure kelim. Yes, on Shabbat, eat on plates that are lichvot Shabbat. So when you do all this, it helps you making that transition better and immersing yourself in the Zman. And that the impact it has is tremendous. Yes, so it's all about Here we have that contrast, but it's all about the transition from one to the other. And for example, you're a boss. An employee comes and he's distracted all day. He cannot do the work, and he tells you that he has a problem at home. You tell him, "Kol hakavod, habibi, you're coming to work. You don't bring me your problems at home at work. That we have a heart, we can understand. But tachlis, the guy does not perform. Yes, he has a portfolio of investment, and all he does, chas v'chalila, is lose every day. At one point, you're going to tell him, "Oh, with all due respect, I love you, I love your wife. You come to work. Yes, you cannot lose money every day for the investment. That doesn't work. Yes. So the same way you cannot go in one direction and drag your issues, you cannot do the same thing the other way around. Erev Shabbat, after Chatzot Hayom, if not Chatzot Hayom, a couple hours before Shabbat, that's it. You shut down. You shut down and you allow yourself to transit. Okay. Now I'm preparing myself and I can accept the Shabbat properly. Yes. Can any questions? We can פסוק י"ב. יש דרך ישר לפני איש. There is a road, like a straight road to a man. ואחריתה דרכי מוות. But at the end of this road, it's death. Says the Gaon the following. A man that is overconfident of himself and of his ways of assessment and analysis and his decisions will always see a path in front of him, and his overconfidence will make him think that that's the right way and that's the way to do it, and he's convinced that that's the best way of doing things, and it's a straight way. In his eyes, it's straight. ועושה שלמה המלך ואחריתה דרכי מוות. But in reality, the end of this road is death. What does that mean? It's at the end of this road, there's failure, there's problems, challenges. And he says that usually when a person takes a path that is not the right path, even though it looks straight to him, at the end, this road splits. And he's forced, because he's on the road, to make decisions. Okay, now this is what I need to do, and now this is what I need to do. Yes, and as he goes, he makes decisions in a spontaneous way. But in reality, all those forks of road end up to the same catastrophic end, where the derech haemet is one, and it takes time to get to analyze it and realize it and identify it. Therefore, says the Gaon, and that Shlomo Amelech doesn't say, but the Gaon says that a person has to be very careful, and when he's on a path, and tries to make sure to always think in every direction and again, and not depend or rely only on his sechel. He should go for Da'at Torah. Yes, bounce the idea. When you bounce the idea, you have anava. Yes, it humbles you. That means you know that you don't know everything, and you're looking for the emet. When you don't ask, that's gava, that's pride, and you think you know everything. Yes, that's not how you get to the emet. And says the Gaon, Shlomo HaMelech is being very stiff on this pasuk. Yesh derech yashar lifnei ish. It says lifnei ish, in front of ish. Ish, it's the definition of Talmid Chacham, right? It's the highest title of man, as we addressed, we've learned in the past. Meaning even the big Talmid Chacham, even the very clever and shrewd man, yes, if he is overly confident and he relies only on his intellect, the end is is catastrophic. Shlomo Melech is going to tell us, learn to always ask. It never hurts to ask. Go to the wise, go to the Talmid Hacham, go to the Torah, and says, this is the question. Maybe you're going to come out without an answer, but at least you asked. And the fact that you asked is that you're open to the emet. You're open to an answer, to clarity. The fact that you are now open to clarity, you will have siyata dishmaya to find the clarity, or with a hiddush in your head, or with the right answer from someone. But when you are closed up with yourself because you think you know everything, then there's no, even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu would want to give you clarity, you just don't open the door. So you don't have access to it. And the person stays in darkness. This pasuk is clear? Pasuk Yud Gimel. Gam b'tzchok yich'av lev. Even during a laughter, the heart can hurt. Ve'harita simcha tuga. And the end of simcha can be grief. The Gaon says this pasuk is coded. Very, very difficult pasuk. What does it mean? Gam b'tzchok yich'av. Even with chok, with laughter, the heart hurts. What does it mean even? And what does it mean ve'harita? And the end of simcha is grief. What do you mean? What's the end of simcha? So the Gaon has he says this is a very, very difficult pasuk to understand. Shlomo Melech hid in this pasuk big secrets, and the Gaon addresses a surface of it. Says the Gaon the following. He says, in reality, when a person thinks and analyzes his life, the person will realize that there's really no simcha in this world. There's no true simcha. What does it mean, true simcha? A simcha that is intact and protected from any tsar, from any pain. Why? He brings a Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin that says the biggest simcha of a person in this world, the biggest simcha, is to see his children successful. There is no greater simcha to a person than to see his children accomplished. Shlomo Melech. But the greatest pain a person can feel is the tsa'ar of his children when they are not in the right path. Tsa'ar gidul banim. To raise children is the most painful and the deepest sorrow a person can feel. So, says Shlomo Melech, says the Gaon, you see that on one end, this is the biggest simcha, but it's mixed also with tremendous pain. So, if that biggest simcha, yes, has in it tremendous pain, then there's no true simcha, pure simcha, only simcha. It doesn't exist. The Gaon here, he brings a maaseh of someone that brought that incredible carved and a table with like jewels on it and precious stones. It was one of a kind, never seen before. A table. the king seeing this table, he's like, it's as beautiful as the chair of Shlomo Melech. So he's like, let me keep it. I love it. And he made it so special. And he called all his advisors, come see that table, come see that table. And he was so proud of that table. One advisor told him, listen, this table will only bring you tzarot. This table will get you to become will lead you to depression. The kings got so upset. How can you say that about my table? Yeah. Well, a few years later, the king had to travel. And obviously, when he traveled with his crown. And what was the crown? The table. So they put the table on the boat, and they sail. A storm comes, and the boat is about to sink. So they're unloading the weight of the boat, and they have no choice. They have to throw the table, and the king cannot accept that. So he tells all his people around him, his army, jump into the water and make sure you hold on to the table. But anyone else thought the table could not be saved. And the king was so sad to have lost that table that he plunged in a big and dark depression. So the king remembered what that advisor had told him. So he called the advisor. And the advisor says, this is what I was telling you. I told you, you got attached too much to that table. That table will drown you. So the king says, are you a prophet? How did you know that was going to happen? He says, I'm not a prophet and I'm not the son of a prophet. But I know one thing. The greater the simha you get from something, and the greater the sorrow you will have from that same thing. And when I saw you so excited about that table, only tsar, only pain and sadness can come, because it's a pendulum. Says Shlomo HaMelech, gam bishok, meaning not only that the simha, yes, has in it the tsar that comes with it, but even the schok, the laughter, that's the gam. Even the laughter, which is superficial, yichav lev, from what you laugh at, yes, you will be disappointed. Your heart is going to get hurt. Ve'aharita, at the end, that's chok, tuga, it's grief. Not only that the simha is grief, but at the end the tzchok is grief. Meaning the tzchok, when you laugh, when you have laughter about something, yes, when you laugh at something, at the end, this laugh, this behavior will lead to grief, will lead to sadness. Now, Shlomo HaMelech here is throwing a bomb at us, yes? What does that mean? That means there's no simha. So the Gaon says the difference between laughter and simha is that the laughter doesn't stay. It's a reaction to a moment, but that was not captured in your essence. Simha is captured. Simha is part of you. It's just that you have to be aware that you cannot hold on to that simha and become dependent of that simha. Because if you're depending on that simcha, that's when the boom comes. But if you capture the moment of simcha as a high, it's okay. You understand the difference? Laughter, you laugh about it, it's a moment, but that's not capture. It's superficial, and we know the outcome. Simcha, there is no simcha that is pure 100% and only has simcha. It doesn't exist. Even the highest level of simcha, which is the pleasure of the children, it comes with tsar. Comes with tsar. Not to say that the greatest tsar a person can have is lo aleinu Hashem yishmor, to see his children not in the right path. Hashem yirachem aleinu. שלא ניגע להרג ולא נעלה לבהלה. But at least, says Shlomo HaMelech, says the Gaon, that when you have a moment of simcha, when you see, when you experience a moment of satisfaction, yes, in this case, with your children, for example, capture that moment, but do not create expectations from that moment. Because the expectation that you build from that moment will lead to tsar. So and that's a great, great lesson. Meaning you see your son is on a high, you're enjoying a behavior, yes, capture it, enjoy it. But don't expect that it's only going to stay like that. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. So, and at least when there's a low, yes, you're not falling from that high of simha, yes. So learn to deal in every moment with that moment, and not as an extension of another moment. There's tremendous hidush in chinuch and in how to deal with our children. Any questions on that pasuk? So there were some big hidushim. I like everything, but oh Hashem.
Yes, incredible. This one we need stickers everywhere, not to forget.
I think our room should be filled with stickers. Yeah. It should be a wallpaper. By the way, that's a great idea to make a wallpaper with with like stickers and all these messages,
Kiddushim.
all the hidushim. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And you put that you put that wallpaper in in one for the parents and one for the children. We should work on a design of wallpaper like that. Tov. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem. So we finished Pasuk Yud Gimel.